Prowlarr is an index and tracker aggregation application, I guess. Basically, all that means is that you'll put all your trackers and indexers on it, and then you can parse out your rules and stuff like that you want to do on there. But first, we're just going to do a very quick explanation on Usenet versus torrents, and then I'm going to lead you to some other documentation that you can use if you want to research any of this more. So if you don't need this section and you already know what Usenet and torrents are, go ahead and just skip to Prowlarr. Okay, so Usenet is different from torrents because you're not downloading the file from thousands of people across the world or whatever it could be. You're downloading the file from a server. This is a paid service. You have to pay for access to the server. Usually you want to get more than one backbone, and you can look all of this up on Reddit r/Usenet. They have good quick start guides and stuff like that on there. They have a nice website that will show the different backbones and stuff like that, because you want to get different backbones because Usenet servers only have a limited amount of backbones. You'll have like Express, and then you'll have, I know there's other ones, but basically companies will go out and then they'll send their DMCA requests saying like, hey, on your guys' backbone, you have this file on there and people are downloading it, and that is against the law or whatever, and you have to remove it, blah, 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 DMCA requests, because someone uploaded a file of like Iron Man or something like that on there, right? Well, that causes problems for you, because if you are using that backbone, then you won't be able to download that file, because they had to take down at least some of the articles that were part of that file that's on there. However, if you have two backbones and one of them got a DMCA request and the other did not, which happens quite often, then you will still download the file because the other backbone still has that completely constructed article. So that's how Usenet works. You have to pay for the indexers and you have to pay for the backbones. You usually want to get two backbones, but if you can only get one, I would go with Frugal. Because with Frugal, I think it's only like $45 a year or something like that. I can't really remember what the actual price is, but they give you two backbones. That's a pretty good deal. And that's just called Frugal. Go ahead and look that up. Just look up Frugal Usenet if you want to, if you're interested in Usenet. If not, and you don't want to pay anything, then torrents are obviously for you. Everyone already knows about torrents. If you're into anime, this is the best place to get it. You can go to Anime Tosho, which I believe is just a mirror of Naya, but they support like indexing and stuff like that. So if you're using tools like Sonarr and Radarr and Prowlarr and whatnot, they don't really mind, whereas Naya does, I believe. I believe that's why Anime Tosho was created. Don't completely quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure. But I'm not going to go into detail about torrents. Everyone already knows what torrents are. All you need is a torrent client like QBitTorrent, and in one of the upcoming videos after this one, we're going to be downloading QBitTorrent and we're going to be placing a VPN on it. I'm not going to show you how to put the VPN on it though. That's going to be explained in the video. And then, so that's pretty much all you really have to pay for torrents. You have to pay for a VPN. That's not that big of a deal. That's maybe $5 a year or a month. I don't know, it just depends on what kind of deal you have. If you go with Mullvad, it's like $40 every 6 months or something like that. That's what I currently use. It allows for like port forwarding and whatnot. And then of course, if you're looking for more information, you can go to reddit.com r/torrents. And I'm not a Redditor or anything like that. They just have, it's actually a pretty good source of information. Like these guys actually really know their stuff. And then same thing with r/trackers. This will give you information on the trackers. So then you can start building your way up the ladder, I guess, of private trackers. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I had to re-record this section, by the way, because I botched it so bad in the start. So if I mention something that doesn't really make sense later in the video that was supposed to be a reference to this, that's why. Just ignore it. Okay, so now we're going to veer off a little bit while I just explain kind of what's going on. This is actually the reason why I'm making the video again, is because some people don't know what HeavyScript is. It's the script that I'm going to be using throughout my video series. I was just kind of using it nonchalantly and people are like, what the hell are you doing? But it's a script that I made and it's just for managing Truenas scale applications pretty much. That's really all that it does. So I'll go ahead and go through the process of installing that right now. Or you do have the option of doing everything manually. If you would like to link all your applications manually, you can. And you can just do that by coming to True Charts, to the documentation. We'll see here, scale apps, and then quick start guides, and then option number 6 or guide number 6 or whatever they want to call it. Linking apps internally. They also have a YouTube video on that, which I'm pretty sure, unless they deleted the version that I made, it should still be the one that I made. But you can see this internal generator right here. So basically all you really have to do is just type in the application name or your app name, the name that you chose. So as you can see here, my Plex app. So just as an example, we'll do like Radarr. And then the application, what is the chart name? So we'll go ahead and just do Radarr just like that. And then you can go ahead and just copy it from right here. And yeah, that's pretty much it if you want to do it manually. I like having it generated by HeavyScript because sometimes there's stuff that you're supposed to do here that is kind of confusing. So I just have HeavyScript make it. You can also use TrueTool if you really want to. TrueTool is just a fork of HeavyScript with what I think is kind of a bad implementation of asynchronous updates and just other stuff that was just kind of, I don't know, just doesn't really make any sense to me. But it is your own project and that's your own thing. And if you want to use that, go ahead. I do not care. However, they do not have command to container available. Not yet. I guess you can wait until they copy and paste that section as well. But if you want to use that like I used later in my video, you'll have to use HeavyScript or of course you have the option if you're in Brave like I am now. I had to switch to Brave for this video so that I could show you guys this. I'll be shelling into my containers at a later point, and you can just do that by clicking on shell and then choosing which pod or container that you need to get into. I personally like to be in SSH. That's why you'll see me skipping back and forth between this. Note that these are not cuts. I'm not cutting anywhere or anything like that. All I am doing is holding down the Windows key on my keyboard because this is just it's just how my Linux desktop is set up. And then I'm pressing either 1 or 2, and then 1 is for my browser workspace, and then 2 is just for my command workspace, and then what's on 3? Oh, that's OBS. Well, there you go. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm not making all these fancy cuts and stuff like that. You guys know me. I suck ass at being a YouTuber anyway. So yeah, I don't do any of that. I'm trying to just do stuff the easiest way possible. Anyway, let's get into installing it. So if you ever see me in here and it says root at Truenas, that means that I'm just in the regular server shell, okay? And then you'll oftentimes see me in mount tank scripts and then HeavyScript. We're going to download HeavyScript in just a second. Switch back to number 1. You can come to system settings if you would like to, and then go to shell. You also have the option to do this, and then you'll see right here, root at Truenas. Same exact user, same exact host name right here. And then we can also go to the same exact directory that I'm in, tank, and then scripts. You can go ahead and create a scripts dataset here if you would like to. As you can see, I did. I'll go ahead and view the permissions. It's just root. I left everything completely default because we're going to be accessing this dataset as root. So I went ahead and made a scripts dataset, and then all you have to do is come to system shell or system settings, and then you can either use the shell or you can use SSH. I prefer to use SSH, but if you ever see me in this menu and it looks like I'm just in some random terminal and I didn't explain anything, it's because I'm just in the shell. So if you see me in here, you guys can go ahead and open up another window and go here. So this is your equivalent to this, okay? It might just have a different background because my backgrounds will change like that automatically. So okay, but now that that's out of the way, sorry, I know I'm probably over explaining for some people, but you know, it is kind of confusing at first though, so that's why I wanted to make sure I went back and explain that, because it is kind of like watching through my videos. It's kind of like, what are you even doing? But as you can see here, we're just going to go through the installation. So how to install, open a terminal, and then we'll go ahead and git clone. And we'll just go ahead and copy and paste this. I'm pressing Windows key number 2, and then I'm going to hold Control, Shift, and then V. Go ahead and press enter. That should install everything for us. We'll go ahead and ls, and then we can change directory into HeavyScript. Bash HeavyScript, and then I'll choose option number 2. And then there's all of our DNS names. Now all you have to do is come here, and then if you're in the web GUI, I believe you hold Control Insert. If you right click on the screen while you're in the web GUI shell, that is this one right here. Yeah, it'll tell you. So all I did right here was just right clicked, and it says Control Insert to copy or Shift Insert to paste. Okay, and that is it. And then you'll also see me use Bash HeavyScript. If you use just Bash HeavyScript with nothing else, it'll bring you into this menu. You can type help or press number 1, and then it'll tell you pretty much every single option that you could possibly want. Go ahead and type that again. Mount and unmount PVC, and then you can see here you can mount or unmount all your PVC stuff. Let's see, there's even a thing where you can update HeavyScript. That's option number 7. You can do update applications. This will bring you through like an interactive thing to create your own crap if you want to create your own update thing. So bash HeavyScript, attack U, that's going to ignore major updates. And then we're going to be doing 10 applications at a time. That's how many applications we want to update at one time. You can do option 1 to roll back applications. I have it as option 1 because I think it's one of the most important things that you possibly have. I think everyone should have it. It's just I didn't want to make it mandatory. Go to option number 6. How many backups should we keep? Go ahead and also type in 10. 7, 8, and then obviously we want to self-update. I made that also an option in case you don't want to. I don't know, maybe I get hacked or something like that, and you want to vet the code each time or something. It's up to you. And then once you're done making your selection, you can go ahead and press 00, and then it's going to run the script with these settings. I'm not going to be doing that though. So I'm just going to go ahead and exit. And then the other one that I use pretty often is command to container. Oh, whoops, that was not option number 9. And then you'll see here all this extra crap. And then if there's extra containers, you'll see that it'll pull up everything. And then you can go ahead and run a single command or open a shell. It will attempt to use bash first. If bash fails, it will attempt to use SSH, or just not SSH, SH, so just bin SH, just a regular shell. And yeah, this is pretty much a rundown for HeavyScript. If you're not using it, I highly recommend that you do. If you guys want another video on how to update your applications and stuff like that, I'll do it. I think the documentation is pretty straightforward, but if you need the extra help or whatever, let me know, and we'll get it figured out. It shouldn't be very hard to do at all. Okay, so now let's finally get into the installation. I know that was probably kind of annoying for some of you guys. It's just a lot of people don't know about this stuff. I'm sure you other people do, and that's awesome, but some people don't, and that's kind of why we're making these guides. So the first application that we're going to install is Prowlarr. Again, Prowlarr is your index aggregation tool. You can substitute Prowlarr with like Jacket or NZB Hydra. I don't really like to. I just like using Prowlarr. It's super easy. The UI, everything is just, it works really well. I've never really had any problems with it. But we'll go ahead and choose Prowlarr. and then we don't have to change anything else in the settings. So we'll just go ahead and go next through everything. And then there is FlareSolverr. This is optional. If you have really good indexers and trackers, you might not need this. You don't need a Cloudflare account. You don't need any of that. You literally do not need anything. I'm not even going to show you what the user interface looks like when you open this up, because you don't need to look at any of that. Instead, I'll just read off what this says on their GitHub source code. It's a proxy server to bypass Cloudflare and DDoS guard protection. So some trackers and indexers and stuff like that, once they're getting DDoSed, they will go to their Cloudflare account and turn on a mode called DDoS protection or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is. But basically what that does is it's just going to validate everyone's browser just to make sure that you're not some like bot or empty packets or whatever. You don't really have to worry about this with good trackers, but if you're on like a bunch of public trackers and stuff like that, most of the time if you're having connection problems, it's due to this. In my experience anyway, I don't really use a ton of public trackers, but you'll see that in this video. I'm going to install it. You might not need to. It's up to you. So anything that has in reference to anything that is in reference to proxy on this throughout this guide, you can just ignore if you don't install this anyway. We'll go ahead and install it. As you saw there, all I did was put the name in. Prowlarr and FlareSolverr are pretty much the easiest applications in the entire world to set up. You don't need to do anything, you just type in the name, that's it. Unless of course you're enabling ingress because you want to access it through a reverse proxy, but I will not be doing that right now. Okay, so next we'll go ahead and open this up, and then we need to add some indexers. So let's go ahead and do that. Actually, first, before we add any indexers, let's go to settings, and then we'll go to indexers up here. So settings and then indexers. Now we're just going to add our FlareSolverr. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and just copy the name, just like I always do. And then we're going to give this a tag of proxy. This means that any indexer or tracker that we also give the tag of proxy, it's going to be going through FlareSolverr. So if we're ever having any problems with like a public tracker or something like that, we will give that tracker or indexer the tag of proxy, and then you should hopefully not have any problems after that. In my experience, it's been pretty solid. Okay, so next you can see that there is a host here. So what we have to do with that is, since we're trying to connect to FlareSolverr, we need the DNS name for this. Again, you have options. You can go to System Settings and then Shell, and then change directory into your HeavyScript directory, or you can go to Linking Apps, and then you can type in FlareSolverr here twice. Type it in here and then type it in here. Or what I'm doing is I'm just going to come to my SSH session and then type in bash HeavyScript. Then type in option number 2 to list DNS names. And then you'll see this here. This is your DNS name for FlareSolverr. I will go ahead and copy that. Also note the port on the right hand side. Paste that in there, test it. And as long as it says you got a little green arrow, then you're good to go. Go ahead and click save. And that's it. Now our proxy is set up for our trackers and indexers that have issues with DDoSing. Next, we'll go ahead and go to applications. And we'll set up Radarr. Make sure that the sync level is add and remove only. Tags, we're going to give it the tag of Radarr. That means that any indexer or tracker that we set up and we give it the tag of Radarr, and then we end up syncing it up here, then it's going to sync with that application. So as you can see here, Prowlarr server, and it's asking for the host name. So again, I'm going to Windows key number 2 to go to my second section or whatever, and then we're going to find Prowlarr. And then I'm going to copy this, paste that in there, and then I'm also going to note the port, colon, paste that in there. Radarr server, same exact thing. So come here, copy this, paste that in there, put a colon, and then type in the port, which was 7878. Next, we need to go to Radarr. Go to the GUI. So I'm going to open this up, and then I'm going to go to Settings, and then General. And then I'll go ahead and copy this API key. Paste that in there, test it, it's good to go. So go ahead and click Save. Next, we're going to do the same exact thing for Sonarr. I'll go ahead and speed through this. After I say that, we grab the tag of Sonarr, because again, there's going to be some indexers and trackers that we only want to synchronize with Sonarr. Test that, and it's good to go, so we'll go ahead and click on Save. Okay, and now Radarr and Sonarr are set up, and we have our tags set. Radarr has Radarr, and then Sonarr has Sonarr. Next, we'll go up to the very top left and click on Indexers. This is where we're going to set up our indexers. Add a new indexer. And we'll just go ahead and do just a normal one. Add your own indexers here. Obviously, this isn't really a guide on like which indexers to use. That's kind of up to you. If you need somewhere to go to try to find good indexers, you can go to r/trackers or r/usenet. But I'm just going to be adding some pretty standard ones in here. Ranked only include ranked results. No, that's fine. And then we'll type in Radarr because we want this indexer to be able to use Radarr. And then we also want to sync this with Sonarr. And then since RBG is a public tracker, sometimes you're going to be getting DDoSed. So I'm going to also include the proxy on there. Go ahead and test that. And then save it after it came back clear. Next, we'll go ahead and just do anime Tosho. We'll go ahead and do the Usenet version of anime Tosho. API key, they recommend that you just use 0, so we'll just put that in there. And then this, I only really like grabbing anime with Sonarr. I don't really watch like a ton of anime movies, and if I ever do want to grab one, it's just usually just go straight to the site and grab it instead, because Radarr doesn't really have that great of I've just had bad luck grabbing it in the past, so I pretty much just stick to Sonarr. You can add Radarr on there if you want to though, and then we'll go ahead and test that. Then click Save, and then we'll also be adding the Anime Tosho torrent tracker. API key, I'm assuming it's also 0. And then again, we're just going to be adding Sonarr and the proxy, and that'll be it. Okay, so that's all I'm going to be showing for that. It's pretty straightforward. And then the only other thing that you might have to do is if you're trying to add an indexer like NZB Finder or something like that, obviously you will just go to their website, sign into your profile, and then paste your API key here. This is how you're going to authenticate through private trackers. Sometimes they will require username and password, but most of the time it's just an API key. I'm assuming most of you guys already know that, but I'm just trying to over-explain pretty much everything. So I'm not going to be adding that. And then after we're done adding our indexers, we're done getting FlareSolverr on here. We're done adding our 2 applications on here. You can add download clients later. We're going to go through that later, so don't worry about it. Now all you need to do is sync app indexers. So we'll go ahead and press that. And then we'll open up Sonarr, go to settings, indexers, and then you'll see a bunch of other crap on here too. But you'll see the stuff that is supposed to be on here, like Naya is not supposed to be on here, but I added that in an earlier video. This is, I think, the 2nd or 3rd time of me remaking this video. I told you guys I suck ass at making videos. That's why I started working on Heavy Setup, which is just my other website. I don't know, it's just a lot easier handling a website than like doing video guides and stuff, because I have to remake this shit all the time. But yeah, that's pretty much it, boys. If you have any questions or whatever, just let me know in the comments or something, and yeah, I'll figure it out.